Okay, we need to talk about Diablo 4. Behind me is the boot screen of the game, and right now it is currently 10:10 on the 26th, which means in about an hour and 50 minutes the open beta will have ended, and we have to wait 2 more months before the official release. Now, I don't usually talk about these kinds of games. Actually, I've never even played one before. The only MMO or MOBA or whatever these games are called nowadays, because I'm kind of not in the space and I'm kind of out of it, is Minecraft, or not Minecraft Dungeons, sorry, which I thought was fun and was intriguing. I made my own review of it, and overall, I thought it was a good game. However, I've never played a true MOBA or games that are, dedicated towards that sort of fan base. So one day, on the 24th specifically, I thought the open beta for Diablo 4 came out. Maybe I'll give it a shot. So I did. I downloaded it. I played it for quite a bit. As my file over here may show, if you can't see it, I've just hit level 17. I was originally going to go to level 25. However, given the time frame of when I was playing the game, that was not possible. But before we get into that, you probably noticed the thumbnail or probably the title. Is Diablo 4 good from a new player's perspective? And I gotta say, just from the very beginning, it's pretty good. Pretty good. But I want to give it a little bit of a breakdown of it. And as I said earlier, and as a disclaimer, I have never really touched any of these games before. I have touched Diablo 3 for maybe about an hour or two, and didn't really continue it. And that was on my Switch. However, I also had borrowed the game from someone, so I didn't really have much time to play it anyway. And at the time, I had a couple other games I was playing that I was a little more dedicated to. So I never really gave Diablo a fair shot. But today, I want to give my thoughts, my opinions, and how I personally felt about the gameplay, the story, and some of the accessibility of Diablo 4 being a new player. So let's jump right into it. Now on screen, what you're probably seeing is a couple of screenshots from the game. I took a couple of screenshots just because getting actual gameplay off my Xbox One, which is where I played this game, was a bit more challenging than I thought it would be. So we're gonna have to settle for screenshots just to kind of show. Before anything, I just want to give you guys a clear shots of my character. I only did one just because of timing. It was a berserker, and their name is Cynthia Fire, spelled incorrectly because of the character limit of Diablo 4. But outside of that, this is also my equipment. All the equipment I ended off the game with, and I thought I was pretty happy with, and I did pretty well. I'm not going to show my abilities just because those kind of varied between things. I had very varied amounts of equipment I wanted to use and varied amount of abilities I wanted to use. However, I stuck pretty basic and just a beat 'em up character, with just a little bit of defense and mobility to help kind of get in and out of combat quicker. But as I said earlier, I'm here to talk about three things: gameplay, story, and accessibility. So let's start with gameplay. Generally, because of consoles, I've heard that these kind of games don't translate particularly the best because of the limited button options. I'm willing to think that they can be translated better. However, it's going to be a little more complex, so the simplicity that it takes is probably the more appropriate and much more much more accessible route to take. I actually really like the way he did it. I thought it was pretty well done. I've always had a problem with these sorts of games because of it being a problem to really get into it, because things are usually very complex and they don't really explain things all that well every now and then to the player, especially new players. So jumping in here, It seemed that everything was designed very cohesively and easy to understand, which I am very thankful for because it made playing this game so much more easier. Now, gameplay-wise, enemy level balancing and generally just, pushing buttons to hit enemies. That was all done very well. I think I got to give props to the team there because generally I had a pretty good experience of just spamming buttons most of the time, with every now and then hitting the X button, the right bumper, or the right trigger to use some of my bigger attacks, and maybe use my left trigger to have a barrier to clutch a couple of hit points before I killed over. About keeling over, I've only actually ever died once in this game, and it wasn't to any of the BS that has been going around in the main game for people who have been grinding the game like crazy. It wasn't for any of that. I just had a slip up and got a little overcrowded, which didn't happen again. Thankfully, I actually tried next time on the second try of my life. Moving on, the inventory system and the management of abilities and I forgot what the little menu in the middle was. But, I didn't really use it that often. Actually, I don't think I used it at all. So I don't think it was really all that important for me at the moment. But managing your abilities and your equipment was all very well done and very easy to understand. Having the compare menu was very well. Having to hold Y, at least on my end, to change items when I'm using a double or two-handed weapon. Not two-handed weapon, no. Dual wielding weapons, sorry. It was very easy to tell the stats between them, and it worked out very well. I had a good time managing my weapons and seeing which ones are better than the others, and trying to get as most as I can out of my weapons. That was very fun and very well done. Aside of gameplay, I think one thing that I usually thought was a big problem that I would have with these kinds of games is transmog. I've always liked my character looking cool and not having crappy armor to look and protect myself better. So the transmog system was a very, very grateful mechanic, being able to choose the armor I want just by salvaging a spare piece of it if I find one, and just being able to look the way I want to look pretty much all the way through the game. And most of my character is actually transmog to begin with. I very much enjoy the way I looked. Very few parts like the pants I ever kept off transmog. I didn't transmog any of my weapons just because I felt there was really no need. I would get confused of what I'm actually using if I didn't, unlike my armor. So it felt great to have transmog as a system, and it alleviated a big issue I thought I would have with these sorts of games, and hopefully other games, if they don't have it, start adding that sort of system in, because it was a very, very well done system. I think one gripe I would have had with this game was movement speed, and towards the end of my last play session, I had started to find items and abilities that increased my movement speed, so generally that issue I had was very much alleviated at some point, so that's no longer really a complaint I have. Okay, I want to move on to story. So, I'm going to be completely honest. I don't really remember much of the story. I thought it was cool in the moment, but a lot of the voice acting and some of the scenes just didn't really click right. But then again, this is an MMO game. This is about, beating up big crowds of enemies and taking on some of the biggest, craziest bosses. It's not really much about the story. I'll be honest, the story's sort of forgettable in a way. I got up to the last campaign quest you can technically play, and I will say up to that moment, that was few quests before that, really fun. I actually enjoyed it. I was actually kind of getting into it, and then it kind of cut off with Rothmar's death, and I thought this is a good cliffhanger spot to leave this beta towards, if there will be a next beta, till then, or till the game releases, which I think it's a great strategy. It definitely left me hanging, and I definitely want me more, and as far as it seems right now, I definitely will be purchasing the game. I don't know about pre-purchasing because I'm not that antsy to get into it, but I will definitely be buying it day one or a little bit after just to jump in there. But I'm excited. Now, accessibility-wise, It was very, very accessible for me as a new player. I actually felt like I was getting the hang of the systems and how they worked, and I was having a good time learning them, implementing them into my gameplay, and sort of abusing them a little bit to get the most out of what I could possibly do as a berserker, because as I come to notice, berserkers are strong, can be a little bit of a tank, but usually go out pretty quickly, especially in crowds. So the right kind of weapon, the right kind of tool is very much appreciated, especially when your weapon has +3 health on kill. That was very helpful in a couple of spots, especially bosses when they had little minions come by. Very easy, didn't have to use a life potion. As far as difficulty goes, my last boss was the hardest boss, and it actually proved much of a challenge on adventurer difficulty, which doesn't say a lot about my character and how I played the game as a whole, but it was the only boss I ever got down to one heal potion. Most bosses I had probably about 4 by the time it ended. I ended the game with about 5 heal potions total that I could carry. I just gotta say that last boss was a tough one, but it was a really fun one to play. I enjoyed that boss fight very much. It was a good time. So I think the difficulty, at least as far as adventurer mode, was very well done, very well paced. I had a good time playing it all the way through as far as I could for campaign. I didn't want to really go any further just because I have other games I also want to be playing and other things I need to do. Which hopefully by the time the full game releases, that will be alleviated, because I will have an urge, like I was just then when I was playing it, to keep playing and play more of it. Which I, as far as adventure difficulty goes, can definitely provide that feeling and that need to keep playing. Which sounds very good, and I am quite excited to be playing more of Diablo 4. I think those were kind of just the main topics I really wanted to jump onto. There was really nothing negative I had. Performance, I think this is actually something I'm going to add on to. Performance on Xbox One was generally pretty good. I definitely have some okay internet, but I did have some moments where there was some stuttering, some lag. When there was a good amount, maybe 2 or 3 other players on screen, the game would very much chug. I don't know if that was because of player connection, players just generally visible, but whenever there was generally a player around me, whether it be on screen or just nearby in the general area off screen, the game would chug a bit. Once I got out to the open areas where it was pretty much just roads upon roads, the game didn't really have much of a problem running at all or having a connection with the servers. I had about 2 instances where I got kicked off out of nowhere. One where I had just finished a quest and I was just about to teleport, and just my last play session, I beat that last boss and was just about to go back to meet up with our friend. I forgot her name, sorry. I'll probably remember by the time the base game comes out. But I was just about to meet up with her to get the last quest done, and the game kicked me, or the server kicked me out, and I had to go back in and get that last quest and then leave the game to get this shot behind me. But all around, is Diablo 4 good? Like I said earlier, yeah, it's really good. I had a good time playing it. I think newcomers, those who maybe are interested in this genre or have had just small experience in it, will definitely enjoy it. People like me who have played, like, say, Minecraft Dungeons, will have a very similar feeling to it, and they will definitely enjoy it. However, obviously, the darker tone of dealing with things like hell and heaven and all these other sort of mythological things definitely can drag a couple people off. I don't think drag many off. Anybody who didn't want to play it is obviously not interested, especially when it has that subject. Anybody who is, not interested in that subject already knows not to play, but people who are interested and don't really care much about that subject are very much welcome to play this game. It's a very, very easy access game. It's very well done. I hope that in the future, I think one thing they should add is a more complex controller option for controllers. That way, controller players can feel like they're connected in sorts to PC players with multiple button options and bindings of options. I didn't really check, but I don't think there was a single option to control bind at all, except for within the game itself, where you could select different slots on your bottom bar to add different abilities. But that was kind of just the gist of control binding, was just putting abilities onto select spots, and rather than changing the button prompts themselves. Either way, all around, great time, good game, and as a newcomer, I'm excited to play Diablo 4 when it releases 2 months from now. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you like my content, please do subscribe, leave a like, let me know what you thought about the video. Unfortunately, as of right now, it's a bit harder to make videos for me. So what I do is I stream on Twitch. I will leave my Twitch down below in the comments so you can go and see my Twitch. I stream pretty often. I usually just stream however in whatever game I feel like playing. I don't really have a select kind of game type. I just go with the flow. So come and enjoy some weird and wacky games. And I will see you guys next video. Peace out.